Alright, so I've like bought and sold, a dozen, like literally a dozen bikes, and I want to talk about some of the patterns that I've seen for someone who's a genuine buyer, someone who's a time waster, a scammer, and I also want to talk about the platforms that you can use like Facebook, Gumtree. I think equivalent is Craigslist. Also about the dealerships and the auctions, different ways if you're trying to sell your bike. This is probably a good tip if you're looking to buy as well. So anyway, welcome to my channel where we talk about bikes and Bible verses. Don't forget at the end, as usual, we've got a Bible verse. So the first behavior if you're selling a bike, and this is, you see it on Facebook most of the time. It happens on the other ones as well, but people who just message you just for the sake of it. If you're selling on Facebook, be prepared to get like dozens of messages. Is this available? And you respond, and they won't respond back. And there's even like, you could think, oh, maybe they didn't see it or something changed, but there was one where they just messaged me and I replied within 5 seconds, and I know they saw the message and they just didn't reply after that. And part of that for Facebook, I mean, it happens on the other ones as well. Like, it happens on even the reputable ones, but not as much. So Facebook, maybe 80 or 90% of your messages are going to be, is it available? Yes, it is. And nothing. Just no reply. And partly it's because it's so easy on Facebook. Like, the barrier of entry to do that, you're not specifically even looking for something to buy. You're just on Facebook socializing, and it's just, you see something and you just tap the button. Is this available? The second one is the time waster. So the time waster, the tire kicker. These people, there's a certain pattern with these time wasters. Is they put like exorbitant amount of time talking to you about your bike or your car, but they don't have a dedication to follow through. They just want to talk to you about it. And again, I think you see this everywhere, even on the reputable ones, but Facebook is the worst. It's the worst for time wasters and for scammers, though I think scammers is improving. I think the websites can do something about scammers, but they won't be able to do anything about time wasters. It feels like some people just message you on Facebook to socialize. There was this one guy who just wanted to hear my engine. Like, he's like, oh, can you start it so I can hear it start? And he's giving me this vague story about, oh, if it's a type of engine, I would buy it, and if it's not, if it's a different type, and I know by the sound. And I knew he didn't know. I knew he had no idea what he was talking about. People who know what they're talking about are specific. They'll say, is it this engine, or is it that engine, or is it the year? They don't go off the sound. And just looking at this guy's picture on Facebook, he seemed like just some 18-year-old or 16-year-old even. And the way to find out these time wasters is, like, one common thing is they talk a lot. And this is a characteristic of a newbie, like someone who's new to riding, someone who doesn't know much, and they're trying to learn. They don't have the experience, and they just overcompensate with like all of these questions. And don't make the mistake like how I did, thinking that if someone has a lot of communication with you, that they're interested. I've seen serious buyers have a range of like very, very little communication, up until about maybe 3 or 4 reply responses, right? Within that range, you might be looking at a serious buyer. Some guys are like, hey, I want to come have a look at your bike. They come, they look at it, they have cash in their hand, they buy it. Right? These are seasoned. These people know what they're talking about. They don't need to talk to you. They don't need to really ask you that questions. They can come and see, right? They're there. Maybe they ask you questions when they're there. A lot of them don't. A lot of people, serious buyers, they just buy bikes unseen because they know what they're doing. Like, they got the knack of it, right? They kind of know what they're dealing with. It's the newbies who are going on and on. So like I'm saying, if you get like 4 interactions and it's going over that, and they keep asking you questions, I'd suggest you're on it with a time waster. You can have people that would ask you first question, get a response, second question maybe, third question will be like, okay, when can I come and look at it, what's your address, type thing, right? And then they look at it and then they, that's a serious buyer. But if you're going on the 4th and they're just asking all these questions, they're probably a noob, don't know what they're doing, and they're not serious buyers. There was even like this one guy, right? He kept asking about my bike, and I couldn't get the price I want, so I took it off the marketplace and I put it back on, and he was like following me. So when I put it back on, like a few weeks later or a month later, he's like, hey, I saw it when it was on before, and he was giving me this low price. And what a lot of time wasters do is they give you a price, right, but they're not serious, and then obviously you give a counter offer, and then they reject your counter offer. So it's like an excuse for them to not buy. And it came to this stage where like this guy just kept pestering me for like over a month. And then he gave a price and I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, what, are you serious? Like, he was surprised. And then he started making other excuses. Oh, I can't pick it up, this and that. Can we meet me? Okay, I can meet you. I can drop it off somewhere. Oh yeah, I can't do it today. Luckily, someone else just came and bought my bike. This guy. Some people are just a real pain in the butt. Like they, it's funny. I learned that lesson when I was really young. I was like 19, and walked in with my friend to a dealership. We're just looking at cars. We didn't have money, right? We're just looking at cars, and there was this salesman who came up to us. It was really like, he's an older man. He's like tough type, typical Aussie tough. And you know those people with like the auctioneer type voice, and walk in and he came up to us and said, hey, your lucky day, this and that. And then like I asked him, I go, how much for this car? And he picked up straight away that I was just a time waster, and he's like, oh, it's $1, come get it for $1, and it's kind of like, they pick up on those people that are just, he saw that counter offer thing, and he just straight away knew I was a time waster. The next point on that is setting your price. So there are like ads where people don't set their price. Like they either say free, or they give some ridiculous price, like $1,234, like $1,234 or something, like just 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But the bike they're selling is worth like $8,000-9,000. I don't know if they're trying to do some psychological trick that they picked up from the 80s, like trying to get someone interest or feel ownership or something like that, then put some stupid price. And anyway, there was this one bike, there was like an 09 Fireblade, and I actually messaged the guy because the price was at 1, 2, 3, 4, I had like 5,000, and he's like, I'm like, how much is your bike, right? And he's going, oh, well, how much have you got? And like, I don't get how this guy didn't see this coming. Like, what is this guy expect? What is this guy expecting? Like, some guy's just gonna offer him some ridiculously high amount. I don't know what world this guy is living, what reality this guy is living in. Anyway, I told him, I go, I've got $4,000, and he tells me he wants 12,000, right? And like, I drilled into it more. I'm like, well, you had it advertised for 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's why I clicked on it. And he's like, he thought his bike was so special that he wanted to see the right price for it. And it wasn't even that special. It was just like a not so common color. But I think people like that learn the lesson the hard way about time wasters on Facebook by pulling a stunt like that on Facebook. This is the laydown on how you sell your bike, right? You put your price, maybe above market price if you want. You put your price. If no one buys it, then after a few weeks, drop it, and then try again. Do that cycle again, and keep doing it until someone buys. This isn't the old days where you put a really stupid price and then people come and lowball you, and then you come to some agreement. These days, people don't. If you got a stupid price, people won't even click on it. They'll just ignore it. And sure, there are like seasons. There are trends in seasons, and of course there are those niche bikes where even if it's priced right, it might take a little bit longer. But for 99% of the bikes out there, I think if you price it right, it'll get sold. The next point is the scammers. So I'm not an expert in dealing with scammers. There's like heaps of guides out there, people who know a lot more about scammers. A few things that I've dealt with, a few things I've learnt is like if something feels off, it's probably a scammer. Like you got to drop it off somewhere, they're not available. They ask you to buy an inspection report. They give you the website where to buy it when it's on the buyer who buys the inspection report. A lot of people get scammed because they don't realize that scammers don't necessarily want to steal the item that you have, right? They are content to just steal a couple $100 off you, right? To buy some inspection report from their bogus website, or to pay for the delivery for the money goes straight into their bank account. So I think people think, scammers trying to steal your bike. No, the scammer's trying to get money off you in any other way. And sometimes when you're desperate to sell, you fall for it. What I tend to do on Facebook as well is when people ask me when they say, what's your address, I just give them a nearby service station. So meet me at this service station, right? Because Facebook, you don't know who you're talking to. Your informations, they know your name. They probably know a little bit about you. Now they're trying to get your address. A scammer could probably use that to get more information about you, at least. The next point is dealerships. So first of all, if you're selling your bike, let me give you some hard truth. Stop telling people that the dealership offered you like a couple of $100 less than what you've advertised for your 23-year-old bike. I literally had a guy when I was out to buy. He's like, he had a 23-year-old Gixxer and he had it this price, and he's going, the dealer offered me like it was a couple of $100 less than what he wanted. Well, okay, why is it sold? And like if you rock up with anything older than 15 years old bike to a dealership, they're probably going to ring up their wrecking yard mate to see if they want to buy it for parts. You're going to get the wrecking yard price, right? And if it's newer than that, like I had a dealer actually tell me outright, with all transparency, we buy it for around $2,000 less than market price, because they're there to make money. They're not there to have your problem. And the last thing is the auction. So back in the day, an auction was an exciting place where you could get a deal for something that no one else might be interested in. The idea being that there are all these items available they come from entities who couldn't care less about the item, right? Insurance companies or business vehicles or something like that, right? And you could get a great deal as long as no one else had the interest. So it's a bit of luck there, who turns up. That was back in the day. These days, though, I'm seeing that private people, private sellers are putting stuff on auction, and they've got a reserve price that's higher than a market value. And they're like, instead of the buyer trying to get lucky like it was back in the day, it's the seller who's now trying to get lucky. Right, trying to get someone who would overpay for something, right? And probably unsuccessfully, and in the meantime, racking up, all the auctioneer fees and stuff. So I just want to end with a Bible verse here, as I usually do. And usually I just talk about a Bible verse that's quite random, nothing to do with my topic, and just talk about that verse. But in the last few videos, my verses are kind of related to the topic that I've been talking about, and I think it is like that today. I'm going to talk from 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, 10 to 12, and it's talking about, it says that people perish because they refuse to love the truth and be saved. And it says, for this reason God sent them a powerful delusion that they will believe a lie, and then they'll be condemned and delight in wickedness. Wicked people who love lies, kind of get back what they're sowing in. These people who are trying to be tricky, trying to use these tricks. If you want to sell something, be straightforward, be transparent, be upfront, right? If you're someone who likes to twist things, someone who likes to lie, the reason the verse says that God sends them a powerful delusion, and I'm saying it's metaphoric, not that God literally does that. God wants everyone to be saved. That is, the whole point of Christianity, right? That, but it's because these people are so delusional. These people who have turned away from the truth, who love lies, they become out of step with reality. And when you observe them, it's like God, something supernatural, God has put this on them because they are behaving in a way that's so unreasonable. It's like how you can't understand why these people are so unreasonable, but it's because they walk a different way. They walk in darkness, they walk in lies, and they are perceived as odd by everyone else who walks in the truth. So anyway, that's all I've got. Don't forget, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you like my content in general, please subscribe. Take it easy and ride safe.